Hello, YouTube pipe community. OTC Piper here with a little pipe chat and the devotional from my devotional series for August 2018. I'm going to pour me some coffee here. The topic for the devotional today is going to be one about the trials that we face just in everyday life. And we're going to do a reading from the book of Job, which any that know well about him know that he went through great trials and hard times. The passage we're going to be reading is Job chapter 4, which takes off right from the worst day I think that anyone could ever have with everything that he went through. We're going to talk about the blend that I'm smoking today. I'm going to be having some of my personal blend. This is one Catholic pipe steader my brother called Matt's Blend. And the reason I chose it is because when we're talking about trials and hard times and everything, this is a blend that kind of came out of that for me. It's going to be my Greybow Grand Duke. This blend is, when I was going through a hard time, I was trying to take my career into a place of more stability, away from a dying industry, and all the frustrations that I went through with, not being fulfilled in what I was doing, led me to times where, as I was, working part-time, trying to put myself through the academy, I wasn't able to provide as much variety in my cellar. So there was a brick and mortar store that had I haven't really mentioned it on my channel because not really a whole lot to mention. It was a discount tobacco store, and they just had a smattering of pouches, some of them way overpriced. In the financial state that I was in, I went for the cheapest one they had, just to have some pipe tobacco, which was like the Super Value brand. They had all the different ones, which I will say, this is off topic, but they do have an English mixture that even now I think is probably one of their better ones. But anyways, getting back to the topic here, that's about what I could afford at the time. So I'd buy a pouch of it, and as I could slowly put some, a little bit back here and there, I was able to, go and buy a few different pouches, and as I would try to build some more, buy a few more, and they were like $5 and some change there. So, I had, I mounted a bunch of pouches, different varieties, mostly the Black Cavendish, the original Cavendish, whiskey Cavendish. You kind of get get where I'm going with it. And I, that's what I had, for a while. When I finally got to where I could build up more variety in my cellar, I just had a bunch of this, and I put it together in a big mixing bowl and jarred it and put it away. Just wasn't going to throw it away. It's probably not the best stuff at the time that I'd had. And this is like a mixture of Black Cavendish, just original Cavendish, some whiskey Cavendish, maybe a little bit of the vanilla. Just all the, just various Cavendishes. I haven't really didn't put any cherry in it or anything, or the ultra mild. Jarred it away, and it's been sitting there for a year, and I thought, or over a year actually. But I thought, this blend kind of came out of a trying time for me, so maybe I'll puff on this blend while I do this video. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And I had a little bowl of it as I was getting everything all set up and everything, and I was delightfully surprised by what a year of cellaring would do to this blend, and I actually find it very enjoyable. So I want to get this lit, and then we're going to get on with this video. like a lot of these kind of blends, it was rather moist when I jarred it. So I have been, I have put it out to dry a bit. And by the taste of it, I don't think I detect any vanilla. I think I just had the black Cavendish, the regular Cavendish, and the whiskey Cavendish. But it is a very tasty smoke. So, talking about Job, he went through a whole lot. And sometimes when I think about the things that I go through, considering everything that he went through, it kind of pales in comparison. There's a little backstory. Job was a very wealthy, well-off man, very godly, of upright character, falsely accused of Satan. And the trial of Job's character was allowed by God. In 1 through 3, chapters 1 through 3, we see Job's life come utterly falling down around him. Job 4 picks up in the midst of Job's worst day. He had some friends that, came, to look in on him and everything. I'm going to grab my Bible real quick. Since the fall of man, the human condition has introduced trials of all kinds, on us. From anywhere from global disaster to workplace disputes. It's just kind of part of life. So maybe we haven't all experienced something as significant as what Job experienced. But trying times come upon us all. So I'm going to read do the reading. To me, this passage is an encouragement to, in the face of trials, to maintain your integrity, do the right thing, always be upright in your character, and just maintain your honor and integrity, which we see. And just kind of advancing through the entire book of Job, you see that, he never curses God, he never breaks his character, and he's rewarded greatly in the end. But let's start in chapter 4. It's just going to be a quick little reading. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, "If we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was fallen, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, in the uprightness of thy ways? Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. And by the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils they consumed. The roaring of the lion, and the voice of the fierce lion, and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men, fear came upon me, and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, and the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before my eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice saying, Shall mortal men be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Doeth not their excellency, which is in them, go away? They die, even without wisdom. I'd like to talk about a couple of them real quick. I'm going to relight my pipe. So in verse 19, how much less in them that dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth. This, reminds me of the parable of the house built on the shifting sands and the house built upon the rock. When a storm came, the house built on the shifting sands was blown over and destroyed, and the house built upon the rock stood firm. I think as Job, being a godly man, really relied upon God to get him through this thing. I think this is an encouragement to him that with his, with him, this is what I get from, with his dependence on God, he's going to pull through this, and kind of foreshadows, the basis of what's going on with him. That his character's fallen under attack, and that he needs to maintain, his character's honor and his integrity. But those that come against us, those that create the trials and hardships that we go through, right, wrong, or indifferent, it's important to cling to what is right, and that's what's going to help you through this, because in hardships, in times of hardship, is where you're tempered. The strongest blades are forged in the hottest fires. They say, and nothing grows on the mountaintops. That's another cliche. It gets spread around. Nothing grows on the mountaintops. It's down in the valleys where the rain falls. That a sapling will grow into a tree. So that's kind of what I get from that particular verse. And the second one that we see a lot as well, is, doeth not their excellency, which is in them, go away? They die even without wisdom. It's the self-proclaimed righteousness and self-proclaimed excellency, as it shows here, is what prevents the gaining of wisdom, because those that are wise in their own eyes don't take the opportunity to grow in wisdom and to gain that and to turn that knowledge into wisdom. And this kind of ties into my last devotional series, the one I did before, the acquisition of wisdom, allowing that knowledge to be turned into wisdom, and we see this time and time again in our lives, that's not happening. There's a hanging that was just put up in our patrol office, and it said this. It said, true humility is remaining teachable, regardless of how much you already know. So that's something that really meant a lot to me. In the hard times, you can learn from it. You can grow from it. As long, and by standing firm in your convictions and knowing what's right, upholding what is right, you can become better for it. So as we see, as we progress through Job. I've already read through it, in the past. I'm just kind of going through it again. And, that he winds up being better for it. And I just think there's something in that can really enrich our lives. And, that's why I wanted to do this video. I've gone past chapter 4 in my studies, but I often, before I continue on, I come back to that chapter and just read it again, and it seems like you get something new out of it every time. So I've enjoyed, getting this devotional ready, because I got to revisit, a chapter that has said a lot to me, and as I've been going through the study. So that completes my devotional video. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly have enjoyed doing it, and definitely look forward to the next one. It will be the last Sunday of the month, September. And if that happens, if I haven't looked at my calendar, if it happens to fall on one of my work days, I'll do it as soon as I can, either immediately before or immediately after my work shift. So with that, I'll just sign off. OTC Piper, wishing everybody all the best.